All right, awesome. I'm so glad that we get to be here, do a little spring fling thing. We've got daffodils, we've got rain, which will be creating more said spring flowers. I love that we get to be here cozy in FLC. I'm going to have us start off on our bellies this morning. So when you're ready, just come on down to your belly. You can have your arms however you want. They might be kind of to the side, or you can bring them underneath your face for support. I want to start here because it's a much more introverted shape than being on our back in corpse pose. And I think sometimes it is such a challenge when the world is calling to us, pay attention to me, pay attention to me, to turn our attention inward. And so just taking a body shape that supports introversion, either this or child's pose, can be marvelous. And I remind you that you could use it throughout your day, and maybe you get off of a work day and you just feel like your head is spinning. You could go into one of these introverted shapes for a little tune in, a little cleanse. Let's begin with a few sighing breaths. Inhaling slow, deep and wide. Those sighs are a marvelous way to affirm to our nervous system, I am whole, I am well, I am safe. There is nothing to know, do, or accomplish. And please tune in to the experience of breath in the abdomen. And then as it's rising up into the low back, the chest, the upper back, begin to sense your body in that 360 degrees as it receives breath and experiences the rising and settling wave. Of course, when we attempt to tune inward, inevitably thoughts will grab our attention. It's what we call monkey mind or puppy mind. And that's okay that our mind does these wanders. But we would love to become more adept at returning the mind to the body, to witnessing sensation and being aware, so that as we move throughout our practice, we know that we're not doing too much, we're not blasting past our edge of risking injury, but that we're also not just sort of lazing about, being unwilling to go to those moments of intensity. So we're looking for that edge, as we call it. Feel free, of course, to adjust your neck position anytime. And I'm going to have you now add a little lower body movement. So make sure to kind of squeeze the glutes downward, what we call anchoring your pelvic triangle, pubic bone and hip bones. And then just bend the knees and windshield wiper the low leg. And some people like going side to side, like little parallels. Some people like crisscrossing and then opening. You could try some of each, of course. So this is a lovely way to gently tune into your low back and notice what's going on there. And then when you're ready, you'll release those feet. And I'm going to invite you to rock the hips. So it's just hip bone to hip bone. So I'm going to kind of rock one hip bone away from the floor and then the other. So the legs are now relaxed and long. And I'm just rocking hip bone, hip bone, hip bone. And they say that this is really great for mood. So if you're kind of feeling a little low or blue or just a little low energy, this can be a nice therapy. And I think part of it is that it massages the vagus nerve line. And the vagus nerve has everything to do with whether or not we can find that beautiful state of rest and digest, or whether we're in kind of stress and fight or flight. So we're going to keep this going for just a little bit longer. Obviously, if it hurts your back or something like that, either adjust or don't do it. Tuning into breath, So even though my rocking is pretty fast, it's 1, 2, 1, 2, my breath is becoming progressively slower, deeper, and wider. And then let it come to a standstill and notice. I notice that I feel a little buzzy. Do you guys feel a little vibration? Yeah, in your thighs and hips. Awesome. All right, we're gonna come up onto our forearms and we're just gonna do a little knee down forearm plank. So I want this to feel really peaceful. Shoulder heads anchored, and then notice that kind of center breastbone area. Make sure it's not sinking, but instead drawing into your back. And from there, all you have to do is press up with the elbows and tuck your tailbone a little. Should be in your forearm plank, knees down, breathing and noticing. Let's do 3 more breaths here if you can. And if you'd like just a little extra something, you could shimmy your chest just a little side to side. I'm just taking my chest to the right and the left. My hips are staying stable. And a slow release. Turn your head to the side and bring your arms behind you. Remember, you can add sighing breath anytime. Now we're going to anchor the pelvis again, rotate the palms down, circle the shoulder heads down, and on your inhale, extending the spine and reaching the hands off the floor for the wall behind. Asking, is there more? On the exhale, descending slowly and relax, become a lump. Let your arms rotate or whatever happens naturally. And again, pelvis anchors, inhaling, extending. Is there more? Exhaling, descending slowly, rotate your head to the side and let those arms rotate naturally. We'll do this a couple more times, always initiating with that pelvic anchor. Remember, you can add your ujjayi, that great sounding breath. On this next one, if you feel like you can hold, please do. Stay looking downward as you reach one arm forward, the other arm is reaching back, and then slowly switching. You could do that a couple more times if you'd like, before pressing back to your child's pose. So keeping the glutes anchored as you plant the hands, no wings, no shrugs, should create a beautiful, strong transition to your child's pose. Knees go wide. With your arms extended forward, if you can, touching your forehead to the floor, and then rolling from temple to temple. And what I notice as I do this, that it creates some marvelous evolution in the stretch through the kind of armpit area of each shoulder. Yeah, just rolling from right temple to left, and that kind of dips and raises the armpits, yeah? Nice. We're gonna then walk the hands to one side. You can go right or left first, whatever you'd like. If your hands are to the right, I'm hoping you're feeling a beautiful long stretch along the left side of the body, and then the opposite, of course. Notice how that upper end of the inhale intensifies the stretch. And let's switch to the other side. It's like we're taking a little inventory to even get to know what's in our bodies today. And slowly back to center, nice long inhale, raising the head and chest. Exhaling, tucking the tailbone into your cat back and bringing your feet wide. So my knees were already wide and I'm bringing my feet wide. I'm gonna do another inhale, kind of cow back. Exhale, cat back, and take it to bear pose. So it's like downward facing dog, but with the feet and the hands wider. Even deeper knee bend, as deep as you can get. We're going to do a few breaths just pulsing there. On the inhale, you might bring your hips and shoulders a little forward. On the exhale, settling deeper into that pose. This is good. last one. And then slowly, one hand at a time, walking back, really extending through each arm if you can. And folding in your ragdoll back of the mat. Giving the head a little yes shake, a little no shake. Taking those hips a little side to side, saying hello to hamstrings, like T-bands. I'm gonna ask you to see if you can squat your butt down. You may need to angle your feet, so I needed to rotate so that my heels can come in, right? Because we don't wanna feel torque on the knees. If you can't get your heels flat, don't worry, but if you can, take a moment and explore that and just bring your elbows inside, hands in prayer. If you cannot do that, then just be on the balls of the feet or bring your feet flat and come up like so. And you can still give yourself a stretch if you'd like, bringing the elbows between the thighs. Deep breath, everybody. Send it down into that back and belly. Exhaling, raise your hips again into your ragdoll. We're going to do that a few times. So whatever version you're working, inhaling, dropping the hips, creating a nice stretch. Exhaling, raising the hips. Looking good. One more. On your inhale, please drop those hips and settle into your chair pose. Oh, hold on, I don't know about you, my thighs need a break. Always listen, give them what they need. Nice breath wave, and on your next inhale, root and rise, big glutes squeeze forward, push the ceiling away, and prayer hands. So keeping your feet wide, we're doing a little Tai Chi move. It's great for kidney energy. And you're just going to let your arms kind of swing out and then in with that back one, the back of the hand hitting right at the kidneys. This is a Tai Chi move. It's called empty jacket sleeves. You can kind of picture if you had a coat on, but you weren't with your arms in the sleeves, right? And as much as possible, let your body rotation be the thing that moves the arms. So the arms are just this limp object that you're moving through the body, not the arms themselves. This is another thing that can create kind of a buzzing, right? We noticed before that rocking of the hips. All of these things really help reduce stagnation. I think a lot of what causes us pain and injury and also just kind of feeling meh can be stagnation. So make sure you're breathing, rooting through the feet, letting the neck be soft as you create this wonderful massage for your kidneys. So I'm letting my head rotate with my spine. Just a few more. And then closing your eyes if you can, just let those arms come to a still point. Notice what you're feeling. And maybe a little buzzy. Love it. Go ahead and create your jet airplane arms. And then we're going to rotate them the other way. And then return jet airplane arms and go past. So I'm basically rotating internally and externally my arms as far as I can, one way and the other. This is a great way to notice what's in our arms. You know, gardening requires a lot of gripping and can really create, you know, some aggravation in carpal tunnel, tennis elbow. So I want to give up some love to those areas today. And then on an inhale, jet airplane arms sweeping out and up. Go ahead and clasp one wrist with the other hand and pull. Switching. And we'll bring those hands around behind in Yoga Mudra. Remember, if when you go to clasp those hands, you can't get the arms to straighten down and the shoulder heads roll back, that's where you want to grab a hold of a scarf or a sock, or whatever you need. Tune into breath in this shape. And then we'll come do the opposite and thread the needle. One arm across, the hand at the elbow. So if you've got the hand tighter, slide it down to the elbow, and I think you'll get a better stretch. And a nice little add-on, you can direct down towards that hand a little bit. So my right hand is across to my left side, and I just tilt it a little left. Directing energy and breath into the shoulder blade and ribs. And then at some point, releasing, and might give it a good spin. Nice. And we'll bring the left arm across. Again, right hand at the elbow. Sometimes I really enjoy just small movements through the head and neck. I can often get to some stretches that connect there in the kind of trap muscle area. And up and away. Good. We're going to do our nerve flossing today. For those of you who haven't been here in a while, this might be new to you. These are some great PT exercises that I think are good for most of us. Got your hands in prayer. You want to have the shoulder heads down, and you're simply taking your prayer hands side to side, but there's no effort to go far. I'm not rotating or anything. It's just all the way to one way and all the way to the other. Keeping the hands together and low. So again, don't try to go so far that you come out of your alignment. It's just very steady left and right. Nice. Is anybody not feeling any kind of tingling or any connections in the wrist or elbow? I'm just curious. No, you all are. Sometimes we get to be a part of the same club. And so theoretically you go 10 to 12 times each way. All right, relax that out. We're doing two other types of exercises here. So this one is, you're like a waiter holding a tray of drinks. And so my fingertips are facing back, just in case some of you never had to walk with a tray. And then you're going to slowly dump your tray of drinks down. So I'm keeping the hand flexed, fingertips pointed down, arms straight, and then I'm coming back up to that starting position. And what you're doing is massaging, flossing that whole nerve line. All three of these together attend to the ulnar, medial, and radial nerves. So we'll do the third one in a moment, but first let's do the other arm. Again, you could do, a good dozen or so on each side. We're maybe doing a little less depending on your speed. Worth noticing if this side is different. And again, if you're like, I'm not feeling anything, do check that you are keeping your hand flexed and that you're getting your arms straight. Those two things generally are what will get us there. Keeping the neck relaxed as you do this. Tongue, of course, just light connection, tip of the tongue, soft gaze. And breathing, don't forget that part. All right, our last one is also kind of a restaurant metaphor. You start off with your hand in front, and then you're going to bring the fingers together and bring them behind, facing up like you're collecting a tip from behind. Someone's running up to put money in your little hand there. Inhale, bring the arm forward. And exhale, go back. I do it with the breath. You don't have to marry them at all. You could be breathing slow and doing these fairly quickly if you want. Again, if you sort of are like, I'm not getting much here. If you want to get a little more intensity, if you rotate that little beak of your fingers out to the side once you're back and you rotate out, that will often help evolve some of the tension lines up into the elbow. Yeah, let's do the other side. Yes, good. I love your focus. I was talking with a massage client yesterday who deals with a lot of stress and anxiety, and we were both sharing with each other that we've noticed our habit that when we're focused on something, that we squish the tongue against the roof of the mouth and we kind of clench our jaw. So these kinds of practices, I know they seem kind of simple and like kind of boring, I can tune out. We need to tune in so we notice what we're doing, but also how we're doing it. Right? Am I breathing fully? Am I staying relaxed in those parts of the body that I can theoretically? I don't need my jaw clenched to perform this. And of course, knowing if we do it here on the mat, we certainly do it at home, right? And life off the mat, raking, weeding, whatever we're doing. All right, so hopefully those arms feel just beautifully open and renovated. We're gonna return to hands to the floor and downward facing dog. As you're ready, inhale, rise, sweep up. Exhaling, deep fold, empty, empty, empty. On your inhale, we're gonna extend the back, hands on the shin bones. And on the exhale, we'll begin our journey forward. If being on palms is bothersome, obviously you go to fists whenever you can, or to forearms. Finding your downward facing dog. Again, intelligent hands, anchoring through the thumb and index finger, shoulder heads rotating open. And please find that low robot belly. We did robot a lot the last few weeks, so I hope it's kind of clicking in for you. One more deep breath, letting the head, neck, and cheeks relax. Then inhale and come down to your knees, knee down plank. We're gonna stay here and do a minor movement in and out of a little chaturanga. So I'm just bending the elbows 1 inch and straightening. And this is where you get to notice any habits. Are you shrugging the shoulders even slightly? If they're anything but anchored, they are shrugging and you're using the wrong muscles. We want to use those trap muscles and our core muscles. You got it. Let's go all the way to the floor. Roll out those wrists and then inhale, extending into your jet airplane. Exhaling, softening, and we're going to come in and out. Last one. And then we're coming right into forearm plank. So I'm going to bring my forearms under me again. You got it. Tuck that tailbone, either knees down, or by now maybe you're like, hey, I want to explore on the feet and see what that feels like today. If you're forearm plank on the feet, make sure you're squeezing an imaginary block between the thighs and driving those thigh bones towards the ceiling. Again, you could add a little shimmy, a couple more breaths. I'm going to invite you to release. Take a resting breath. Before I invite you to take flight in our Superman pose. So Superman pose typically is both the arms and the legs lifting off the floor. But if you know that you experience back pain or kind of ick with the legs off the floor, keep them anchored. Arms extend forward, palms facing each other. Anchor the pelvic triangle. Inhale, extend long through your limbs until it feels natural to come right up off the floor. Exhale, soften, return, and we'll do anywhere from 4 to 6 of those, depending on your pacing today. Well, I was really enjoying all those nature sounds, but I was also afraid I might put you to sleep. You guys are looking good. On your next exhale, if you can, keep those pelvis anchored, land the legs, bring the hands back, just like you're going into a push-up. And we're gonna go from here into downward dog. Now you can either go via the knees, or if you want more intensity, stay on the feet and push off, downward facing dog. Make sure those feet are pretty close to each other as you slowly take right leg flying. Stay soft in the neck, broad in the shoulders. Bend that right knee and see if you can open it up. I'm just really rotating my hip open, and I'm keeping my left hip directly over that left knee and heel, nicely in a line. Good. Exhaling, we're gonna bring that right foot forward into a lunge. And remember, you might have to grab it, right? Get a hold of your ankle to get it forward. I want the heel directly below the knee. Right hip bone shining back, left hip bone shining forward. And that should make it easier to come up with integrity into your crescent lunge. So you're on the ball, that back foot. Make any adjustments in your lunge, make it feel stable, because we're going to challenge the balance. On your next exhale, rotating to the right. On your inhale, rotating back. We'll do a few of those. Feel free to make the arm movement liquid, right? Just experiencing a beautiful range of motion. Inhaling back to center, dip that back knee and see if you can raise your heart and look up through the head. That should get you a nice stretch. Exhaling, downward facing dog, reduce the swoosh. Try to lift that foot. You got it. So, invitation to come to hands and knees for cow cat or join me in downward facing dog. I mean, in dog series, you're in downward dog. Inhaling to your plank, knees or feet. On your chaturanga, you could just do that 1 inch, or make sure if you're going all the way, the hips are the last thing to arrive. Inhaling cobra or jet airplane. Exhaling, downward facing dog. You might take a settling, sighing breath, and then slowly send left leg flying. Bend the knee, open the hip. So here I'm squeezing my right glute towards the left edge of the mat in order to stay aligned. And then slowly neutral it. Bring that left foot forward into your lunge. Grab it if you need to. Steer left hip bone back, right hip bone forward. And remember, you can always use your hands for support to come on up because it can feel like a lot on the hamstrings, etc. otherwise. Nice. Again, adjust your lunge. On an exhale, rotating left. You might add a look behind you. Maybe not. And turning center, you can dip the knee if you'd like. Gazing up and belly to spine, downward facing dog. Reduce the swoosh. We're going to be coming into quadricep stretch. So those of you who like being standing, go for it. Otherwise, join me in a plank to chaturanga. Then I'm going to settle my right forearm across the front of the mat. Anchor the pelvis and reach back for that left ankle. Then I'm going to settle my forehead onto the forearm and just enjoy a stretch. So if you go to reach for that ankle and it's just too far away, you can use a strap. You can just stretch your arms, make them longer. Beautiful, you're welcome. And if you're using a strap, make sure to go as far to the ankle as you can. You got it. Everybody, invite that shoulder blade to rotate in towards the spine. Keep anchoring the pelvis and deepening the breath. Feel what's there today. And of course, when you feel ready, switching. It might feel good in between to do that little windshield wiper with the knees that we did. I'm doing the standing version, of course, but it's such a good stretch, isn't it? Yeah, we've been talking about this a bunch in recent weeks, the whole partnering muscle group thing, that it's often where you feel discomfort or pain is not usually the muscle that is being bossy and causing the problem. So it's the silent partner. And tight quadriceps cause a lot of problems. They actually cause a lot of pelvic tilt that can really mess up with your back and things somewhat. So again, nice deep, deep breathing there. And then when you're ready to release again, you might windshield wiper, crisscross. I'm going to invite you in both pose. And both pose, we're clasping both ankles, but I'm going to ask you to go in slow, like we just did, using one form at the front of the mat. Anchor the pelvis and reach back for one ankle. Then reach back for the other ankle. Then as you're ready, inhale, press your ankles back into your hands or strap. And exhale, soften, looking good. Keep those knees working towards each other. Support. Beautiful. Make sure to give yourself a moment of relaxation in between, best you can, while holding your ankles. And release, either resting on your belly or pressing back child's pose. If you're on your belly, maybe you want to do that hip rock again. Rock, 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 rock. Notice what feels good. Anybody surprised of how much of a stretch you get in bow pose? Yeah, it's pretty incredible because you're in this intense front body opening and then you add breathing and wow. Yeah, I love it. When you're complete, we're gonna come into downward facing dog again. Again, you could be on fists, you could actually be on forearms. You know what, in fact, we haven't done this a long time together. We're gonna do dolphin pose. It's actually the lead up to dolphin. It's essentially downward facing dog on your forearms. So let's do that. You're coming down onto one forearm and then the other. I like making a fist and then just wrapping my other hand around the fist is how I prefer to do it. Some people like their hands, their palms flat on the floor. And that's fine too. It bothers my elbows and forearms to do that. So I do it like I do forearm plank. When you're ready, send those hips up. And it's a little bit challenging because you have less space than you did in downward dog, right? And I want you to see if you can continue to press your hips towards the ceiling and your chest towards your legs. I'm hoping that gives you some space. And release, coming once again to child's pose. So like I said, that can be a lot of work. It can be a lot of good work. But you can always interject that. All right, nice tug of the tailbone coming up to our cat back. We're gonna come into gate pose. We haven't done this together in a while. I love it for so many reasons. But I'm gonna give you a couple of little details along the way that make a big difference. First, we wanna make sure we're in our core. We should be able to clap. Yeah, love it. Then I'm gonna step back my right foot 90 degrees, sole of the foot fully in contact with the mat. That's important. That's what's gonna get my knee aligned. Then I want you to look under you at your left thigh bone. Squeeze your left butt cheek towards the right edge of the mat or towards the center line. Do you see how that changes the alignment of your thigh bone? Nice. Now you've got stability. Slowly open up. You could bring hand to hip first or go straight to the sky. Use your lower waist to rise to the upper. Make sure that that breastbone area is drawing back. See if you can reduce the weight in your hand. It's going to require your butt and thighs to get engaged more. Yeah. And then you might rotate open, looking towards the sky and let your hand come a little behind you. Exhaling, return to your table pose. Inhaling cow. Exhaling cat. Stable table, send that left foot back, preparing for gate pose. Look underneath, squeeze that right butt cheek, opening up into your gate. Again, check the waistline, the ribs. And when you're ready, opening that arm on up. Always taking your head where it's best for your neck. So you might want to look down. You could also now rotate open through that left arm and look up towards the ceiling. And exhaling, return. Inhaling cow. And exhaling cat. We're going to come into kind of an advancement on gate pose. You could also just do exactly what you just did. Otherwise, I'm going to invite you to come into your gate pose. Then see if you can raise your floor knee. And if you can, you could extend that leg out in front of you, heel flexed and open to the ceiling. And then you can come back in one little smooth movement, maybe. Other side, gate pose. I always use my hand on my hip while I'm raising my knee just to see how it feels. And when I feel ready, extending that leg out in front, opening through the arm and chest, and back you come. Yeah, might want to give your wrists a little love. Did you like that? Yeah, little heat wave. Awesome, that's you. Inhaling, exhaling, downward facing dog. All right, we're coming all the way to our bellies. It'll be good to get off our wrists a moment. So last chance, Texaco here for a little plank. Little chaturanga. Roll those wrists out, anchor the pelvis, intertwine for yoga mudra, and draw back. So there's some fun stuff you can do with yoga mudra here. You can just hang out resting on the forehead, pumping the hands off the butt and returning. You can get into your yoga mudra and then extend the chest off the floor. And if you're there, you can even roll a little side to side. Pressing the touch. Good, there you go. You felt those elbows click in? Yeah. When the elbows click in, you know you have found dessert, sort of. Let's just give more space. Go ahead and grab a hold of that. There you go. Yeah, does that feel good? Pumping, returning. You can always get even more room on the strap. We're really looking for a place where you feel kind of a release. This is one of the poses that I think really transformed some of my shoulder tension and alignment issues. Beautiful. When you're complete relax, either here or press back child's pose. This would be a good moment to take a sip of water, roll out wrists. Again, I know we gave them a lot of work. In the long run, yoga can strengthen our wrists beautifully, which can help us so much. Okay, I'm going to be coming into a little flow, integrating some of those movements or inspired off some of those shapes and movements. The key part with any flow is A, that it's just feeling good to you. And of course, a huge part of that is B, that you are in your breath. So don't rush because you're like, oh, wait, we're doing this now. Or, oh, just stay and breathe longer in a shape if it feels great. And if you skip the other shape, like, we don't care, right? The point is to move and be in breath. And we'd love it to be kind of a moving meditation. So if your wrists are feeling like, yeah, I've already gotten a fair bit of activity, I'm going to have you start with me in mountain pose at the front of the mat. If you're wanting even more, you could always do downward dog, right leg flying, hip opener, right? So like what we just did. Otherwise, we're going to start front of the mat mountain pose. Finding that mountain stance with big toes anchoring, the other toes spreading. You might be in jet airplane arms. And a long inhale, sweeping out and up, slowly noticing what's happening in the arms. Exhaling, prayer hands. And we're just going to go side to side, a little nerve flossing. Arriving in our center, inhaling, sweeping out and up again. Exhaling, release, intertwine hands behind yoga mudra. Squeeze the glutes forward, release the arms, sweep up, maybe a little back bend. Exhaling, swan dive. Inhaling, extending halfway up. Exhaling, step back, right leg only. Beautiful. So your left hip bone back, right hip bone forward. And inhaling, sweeping up into your crescent lunge, or if you prefer your foot flat warrior one. And I misspoke, if you were doing downward dog, you would have had to do left leg flying the mat just. I trust y'all to figure it out. Inhaling, center, exhaling, rotating left. I've been trying to get better at starting with the non-dominant leg more often to just change our brains. Nice, one more. Inhaling, center, little knee dip, heart part open if you would like. Exhaling, we're going to open to our warrior two. So that back foot is flat 90. And I want you to remember some of those principles from gate pose. So we're gonna take our left butt cheek and squeeze it towards the center line of the mat until our thigh is straight and aligned. Warrior two, arms are out from the heart. On a long inhale, straightening the leg and reaching up. Maybe you're looking up, maybe you're looking down. As you flow forward towards lateral stretch, again, please think of that gate pose, raising your left waistline up into your right. Reaching that right arm out beyond the head, perhaps. Sometimes I like to rotate my chest a little towards the floor and then open it again, and I can feel all this good work down into my right waistline. On your exhale, if you'd like more dog series, then that's where you head. Otherwise, just rotate that left foot and you're in a straddle. And we'll go side to side. The more you are in breath and core, the more your hips and thighs will enjoy this and give into it. All right, so this invitation is going to put you facing backwards, but I have faith. I don't think you need to see me. You're going to rotate so that you're facing the back of your mat. Right foot is front of the mat. Left foot is back. Good. Steer that right hip bone back, left hip bone forward. You want to be able to follow the foot if you can. Remember, you can use your hands to come up if you would like. Finding yourself in your crescent lunge facing the back wall. Exhaling, rotating to your right. Nice little spinal twist, opening those arms, hug emoji. Good. Inhale, center. Asking of the breath, is there more? Inhaling, center. If you'd like a little knee depth and back bend. And then opening to your warrior two. Back foot plants, 90. Check right butt cheek squeezing towards that center edge of the mat to get your alignment of your face. And then those arms open up. Maybe you're playing with platter hands. Maybe you're rotating back and forth, reiterating some of that wonderful kind of shoulder, elbow, wrist work. One more, rising and settling breath wave. Inhaling, exalted warrior, straightening the legs, reaching up. And slow journey to your lateral stretch. Right elbow onto that right thigh, stack the chest. Make sure that butt is not moving behind you. You want to be pressing it towards the center line. You guys look good. Nice strong waistline, reaching through that left arm. And you might kind of pulse the chest, rotating to the floor, and then opening a little to the sky or the wall. Again, your option here, if you'd like to release downward facing dog, dog series, go for it. Otherwise, straddle, fold, and side to side. Some of us love to add a little hip drop here. So we were playing with some of this earlier, the squatting, right? So if you're able to kind of, and this heel doesn't even have to come to the floor, but if you kind of drop the butt towards one heel like so, and then the other, there's some nice alternative stretches that we get from this shape, especially if you choose to kind of fold. All right, last opportunity for dog series or holding downward dog or plank if you'd like it. I'm going to rotate to the front of my mat, but you wouldn't have to. Maybe you like looking at the back. Invitation for dog series, you join me in plank, inhaling, asking, is there more? See if you're in your core. You should be able to hop. Exhaling, chaturanga, chest and head precede the hips. And kiss the floor. Inhaling to your cobra or any other version of things. And exhaling, pressing back, downward facing dog or child's pose. We're gonna all meet in ragdoll back in the mat, so how would you like to get there? Big inhale. When you expand your inhale in this shape, well, many of us anyway will get a stretch into those hamstrings and hips that are so tight. On your next inhale, extending halfway up, hands on shins. Exhaling, tuck the tailbone, sit to chair. If you'd like a little more balance challenge, coming up on the balls of the feet. Inhaling, root and rise. Exhaling, resolve in prayer hands, shoulders slide down. Getting the hands as far down as they can go so that if you can make a straight line from elbow to elbow, please do, and we'll go into our nerve flossing again. Curious, does it feel any different than when you started today? Is anybody feeling an evolution? It's good. Hurts good? Hurts good. Yeah, good. And then we can come back to center and do a reverse prayer. So without any shrug of any sort, rotate those fingers down. And then a nice little stretch that I enjoy, someone who does a lot of gripping, even when it's not gardening season, is I peel my palms away but keep my fingers connected. So fingers are rotated down and then peeling palms away. Get that nice stretch through the hand. And release. And then I like to pretend I'm playing piano badly. And all of those are good. Bringing the feet together for tree pose. So big toes are touching. Spreading the other toes out if you can. Squeezing our little tree trunk of our thighs. And first we're just going to do a little side body stretch here. So sweeping the arms out and up. Clasping one wrist. And we did this before, but we're going to hold and be here a little longer. I usually kind of settle my head onto the lower arm. It just feels nice. And breathe. And switching. Sometimes people do this pose also with steeple hands. If you want to try that, you could. You have your index finger and thumbs touching each other, and then you're just interweaving the other fingers. So you have a little steeple here. And if you're doing that, it kind of makes it a little easier to add the engagement of the biceps in towards the ears. See what you think. Keep sending the shoulder back. Now the shoulder of the side you're stretching is going to want to rotate forward so you can keep drawing it back. And release. And you know what? We're going to take a little back break before tree pose. Bring those feet apart, ragdoll. Ragdoll truly is one of the most important poses and shapes we can make. Not just in yoga, but like daily life. Again, if I'm standing, I stand a lot at my desk and I'm on concrete and I'll just feel myself kind of tighten up, go into ragdoll and move a little side to side. I'll be like, okay, this is amazing. I'm ready to do another hour. All right, when you're ready, please join me in preparation for tree. Again, big toes touching, other toes spreading, thighs squeezing. If you want to be a tree with steeple hands like we just did, you could. Otherwise, when the time comes, you make whatever tree branches you feel like it, all right? So I'm starting with prayer hands. I'm bringing one foot into kickstand. I'm checking that that other leg is still squeezing towards the center line. Maybe raise your foot to the calf, never at the knee. Flare your yoga toes, coming up into tree limbs or a steeple. Inviting breath in front, side, and back body. Soft tongue, soft gaze. Deep breath, even if you're falling out. Your own time, slowly releasing and see what's needed. Sometimes I just do a little dance, other times I do another fold before coming in on the other side. Other foot and kickstand, maybe up to the calf. Soft flow. So notice if you feel like you're losing connection with the inner line of the foot to the floor, that's squeezing that inner thigh and block, or butt, excuse me, towards the center line. It can really evolve that. Is this side different? Make up one side that is a lot easier to keep that foot rooted. And what's valuable about that is not just that it tells you, oh, I have better balance on this side or that side, but again, a lot of why our balance is better is when our inner thigh and glute of the standing leg are able to engage in and down. That's what creates that foundation where you should be able to mess around with this other leg and try and knock yourself off, and not just glute. Let's try that. That was fun. All right, come on in. Think about that one foot, whichever one you want to start with. Squeeze the glute and thigh, boom. Take your other foot and just start winging it around. Ready? Find the other one. Glad to see you guys smiling. Again, think about that inner thigh. So what I do is I imagine, like I said, that I'm making a tree trunk. And if that leg isn't there to squeeze into, I just imagine, right? I just squeeze in and down and then challenge it. I love it. Blocks are going flying. You guys are awesome. So hopefully that just sort of plants a little seed about that. A lot of us just don't think about, again, the feet being able to stay anchored. We think it's about the feet, and it's not. It's this musculature through here. Love it. All right, last balancing posture. You don't have to go far for this to be useful. So I really caution you to only go as much as feels great to you. So we aren't having our legs touching, but we're going to still create that imagined, inner squeeze, like you've got a block there or something. Jet airplane arms. Please check with that rib cage xiphoid process area, draw it in, that brings you to your core. And we're just going to slowly, with that right heel flexed, hinge at the hip. And I want you to come upright and hinge, upright and hinge. Keeping long through the back of the neck. Last moment here in the balance pose, see if you'd like to hold and at what angle. You might go parallel with the floor, you might not. Then slowly land that back foot into your crescent lunge. Reaching that right arm forward, left arm back. So it's that spinal twist that you've been doing. You got it. And we're just gonna ever so slowly hinge at the waist and let my right arm come towards the floor. And then back up. So I'm not trying to touch, just making a little movement, and you're feeling a lot of hip activity. Got it. And release. Lovely. We'll come back to our mouth. Oh, my left leg feels very active, right? I can feel the buzz. All right. Jet airplane arms. Rooting in that right foot, we take the left heel and flex it, and we begin our little movement. This reminds me of those like little woodpecker lawn ornaments or something, right? The little birds. So nice and slow, and noticing what's in that standing leg. And if you'd like to hold with me, what's the appropriate height or angle? Remember to elongate through the back of the neck. Good. Then land that back foot. Reach that left arm forward, right arm back. It's really important here that you're not trying to fling your back arm further than the body. So it's just straight out from the body, and however far the body rotates, that's your position. And as you're ready, you might choose to do that little hinging, like I want to bring that left hand towards the floor and back up. Breathing and noticing, even if you're wobbling, breathe. And back to center. Oh, lovely. We're coming onto our back body. Have your block handy. This should feel lovely after all of that, I hope. We're going to take the block between the thighs in our bridge pose. Feet are flat, shoulder blades wing in, upper arms anchor. Nice long inhale as if it's all you ever took. Exhale, bring belly to spine, spine to floor, and then send the hips up, squeezing that block. Inhale, please descend slowly, one rib at a time. We'll do this a few times. If you feel like you're getting any hamstring cramps or something, just take both legs to the sky, big foot flex, and then return them when you're ready. This last time, we'll be coming from here into happy baby. If you know that a strap is helpful and you don't have one, I'm happy to be your runner. Otherwise, maybe you're able to clasp the big toes or the blades of the feet. Sometimes it feels good to rock a little side to side. You can get into some of that same kidney area that we were igniting in that little Tai Chi movement we did, the empty coat sleeves. Send the breath down into the hips. Remember, the breath is the change agent. Yeah. And maybe you want to bring those heels in together, butterfly, right here at the butt. And then bring one foot towards the head and then the other. And then we'll release. We're going to come into our reclined pigeon. So I'm going to cross right ankle on the left thigh, wag that right knee. And then raising the left leg, I'll hug my right knee tightly towards my chest and send it towards the center line. And it usually only takes about an inch or two before you get to that lovely sensational edge. Tune in. You're giving yourself a wonderful massage. Make sure you're being a good massage therapist. As you feel ready to switch, I often will take the leg that was crossed and give it some kind of kicking and releasing, rolling of ankle and so on. Left ankle, the right thigh, raise that right leg, hug that left knee. Send breath to it. Again, the best way we can increase sensation in a good way is expanding the breath. We talked at the beginning of practice before I think I started the video, but about fascia and all the interconnected fascia in our body. And there's very little way for us to connect with those fascial planes besides breath and some deep stretches where we add breath. So that's how we touch the interior. When you're ready, come on out. And then notice if it would feel like a beautiful close to your practice to use the block under the sacral triangle. If so, you want to have the feet flat like you're going into bridge, then raise the hips, place the block under that sacral triangle. And as you give your weight to it, if it doesn't feel fantastic, move the block. Usually people have it too high in their low back, and we want it right at the kind of top of the crack of the butt, bony triangle. If you go to extend the legs and the pelvis kind of dumps forward, that's an indicator the block needs to still go down a little further. If you're feeling neck pressure, you can try winging the shoulder blades in, inviting the chin to tilt up. Both of those actions will reduce the pull and pressure on the neck and cervical spine. And please from here notice if there's anything in particular that your body is hungering for before you settle into your yogic sleep for a few minutes. You know, the yogic sleep is a wonderful transition of between here and our day. We often say that it's where we get to integrate our practice, integrate our pieces of self, body, mind, spirit. So please take time and get comfortable, whether that's just in your flat back corpse pose, whether it's legs up the wall, child's pose. And I'll be coming around to offer shoulder press. If you'd like me to skip you, please give me a wave right now. Thank you. When you do find your first moment of relaxation, please invite special release through the neck. You might roll the head side to side. You might check in with your jaw, open the jaw wide and close it. And once again, tune into breath awareness now with no breath control whatsoever. Just the slow, gentle breath of a baby sleeping, witnessing the rising and settling of breath in the belly, noticing where fabric touches your skin. Just begin to gently expand your breath. Each time a little more, letting it massage front body, back body, side body. And letting it awaken you to the new version of yourself post-yoga. During your practice, did you become aware of any particular part of the body that could use support or nourishment of some sort? Was there anything particular in our practice that felt like you really need that movement, breath, etc., and maybe want to repeat it throughout the week? I'm so grateful that you each got to the mat with me on this beautiful rainy spring morning. I love it. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Feel great in your body. Look forward to seeing you again next week. Om Shanti Shanti. Namaste. Like I said, these daffodils are available for sniffing if anybody hasn't put their face in any yet this week. So glad you could be here. Thanks for joining me.